Good morning. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that the nations might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men living and dead who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note or long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us the living rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work, which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from those honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave us the last full measures of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln. Well, good morning, children. Hello. I trust that you are ready for another lesson in your math. Someone told me that Abraham Lincoln was in the area. I tip my hat to him. But here we are, lesson 14 in 808 math. Using proportions to solve story problems. I love story problems. I hope you do as well. We will try to zoom in here just a little bit if we, oops, maybe that was too much. How's that? Can you read that okay? Having issues here now. Okay. So you have noticed that, or we have been having you've used this formula before, proportion. It's the is over the of, and then in a fraction, it's the fraction numerator and the fraction denominator. And you've used this, like, for example, what is 3/5 of 50, etc. What is, or 15 is 3/4 of what number? And it go down the line. You can see on page 57 of lesson 14. And you know how to use it. In a story problem, you're going to have the same thing. We're going to have to figure out where or when or what is the is, what is the of, or if there's a fraction in the story problem, then we'll use the fraction. And typically, remember you remember, children, that usually the of is the whole amount. It's the everything. The is usually just the part of it. Okay? And so a fraction, the numerator is usually smaller than the denominator as well. So usually, not always, but typically, the is going to be smaller than the of. So as we look at a story problem, always look for keys. If they give you a fraction, then you know you will put the fraction over here. If they give you a whole part of a number or a whole thing of something, it'll be the of. And if they only give you part of it, it'll be the is. Okay, I'll zoom back out again a little bit. And there we go. Is that too far? And so if you look at the bottom of page 57 of your book, it tells us that when Linda came into the house for a drink, Edna asked her how much hoeing she had gotten done. Linda had hoed 8 rows out of the 24 that she had planned to hoe. What fraction of the goal had Linda accomplished? So in this story problem, there is no fraction. So we know that you will not have a fraction. The fraction isn't here, but that's what we have to find out.
But if you look, there is two numbers. There's 8 rows and 24 rows. The whole number, everything that she does is your that's your 24. So that's how many rows there were. There were 24. And it also tells us that she hoed 8 of those. So that's your is. And then once we want to find a fraction of that, we simply have to reduce this. And it'll be 1/3. She hoed 1/3 of the rows. Page 58, you will notice there's another example. Okay, so here, Rose arrived home late for supper one evening because she had detoured around an accident. The wait in traffic congestion at the accident site and the detour added 2/3 of the normal travel time to her trip home. The trip home usually took 24 minutes. How much extra time did the accident add to her trip? Now here you'll see a fraction. So that fraction is 2/3. So you know that's what's going to come over here. Well, we have to figure out what is the is and what is the of. Looking at that story problem, we have one number, 24 minutes. Is that only part of the time? Is that all the time it usually took her? It's all the amount. It's what it usually took her. So it's going to be everything that it's going to be the total amount. So in this case, take 2 times 24, which is, come on, what is it? I can't hear you. That's right, it's 48 divided by 3. Listening, Logan? Ha, that's right, 16. So, took her 16 extra minutes because of the traffic. All right, if you go to the third example they gave you there, you have, while the 8 cousins were cleaning for Grandma, she commented that it was wonderful to have 2/5 of her grandchildren there working together. How many grandchildren did she have? So again, it's giving you a fraction. It's giving you 2/5, right? So that's our fraction. And then it gives you another number of 8 cousins. Now, is 8 the whole amount of all the cousins, or is that only a portion? Reagan? That's right. It's only part of it. So we don't know what is the of. So again, 8 times 5, which is, Megan? That's right, 40, divided by 2, Israel? 15? Where did you go to school? That's right, it's 20. All right, so they had 20 grandchildren all together. That is what your new part is all about, and I hope you have an enjoyable day. And look at the rest of your lesson. I don't think you'll have a problem with that because, again, between that Amish bishop and Alan Byler, they've been teaching you pretty good. We'll see what Abraham Lincoln can do now. Have a good day.